What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today, we got the Miami Dolphins made their decision. This is going to be so bad for the Dallas fucking Cowboys.
The Miami Dolphins have agreed to a 4-year, $212 million deal. Deal will include $167 million.
Oh yeah, YouTube. I know on X that I'll be posting between 10 to 11 o'clock. This will be posted the next day. Just want to say that.
In guarantee, now sitting behind the likes of Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, ahead of Jared Goff, Justin Herbert.
This is one of the most divisive contract extensions I think we've ever seen, because some people are saying this is a gigantic overpay, some people are saying this is the perfect contract, and I'm here to break it all down for you guys because we've been following this saga all summer long. So before we get to the content, we are still giving away copies of College Football 25. If you don't have the game, I highly recommend it. It's so addicting, and all you have to do to enter is follow me on Instagram or on Twitter. Links to the giveaways are in the description down below. Now that we got all that out of the way, work! Check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Tua's contract extension is very significant because prior to his contract, the norm was to pay each and every quarterback as much money as humanly possible, whether it made a lot of sense or not. And a good example of this goes to the 2022 offseason, where the Denver Broncos traded for Russell Wilson and paid him a 5-year, $245 million contract before he even stepped foot on the field for them. Or how about the Cleveland Browns trading multiple first-round picks for Deshaun Watson? And then
that was a mistake. Broncos trading with Russell Wilson. Yeah, I know he wasn't doing good in the beginning of the season, but he started doing this thing towards the end of the season,
giving him the first fully guaranteed quarterback contract that averages $46 million a year annually. And of course, Kyler Murray, coming off of a very embarrassing playoff loss at the hands of the Los Angeles Rams, had his agent type up a 5-paragraph essay with 6-point font asking for a huge contract extension. And the Cardinals obliged. But the very next offseason, you would see Jalen Hurts getting paid $51 million a year annually, Lamar Jackson getting paid $52 million a year annually, Justin Herbert getting paid $52.5, and then right when the season was about to start, Joe Burrow got $55 million a year annually. And the argument for this is the fact that they're the quarterback, they're the most important part of the team. But also, if you go back throughout NFL history, anytime a quarterback is the highest paid QB in the NFL, while he's on his max contract, or at least in the earlier part of his max contract, while he is the highest paid QB in the NFL, he won't win a Super Bowl. Now, I want you to pay attention to the verbiage I used there, because Trevor Lawrence technically is still on his rookie deal for another year. And typically, the window of contention for these QBs is swung all the way open towards the latter part of their contract because their contracts become undervalued, which is why Patrick Mahomes is having so much success lately, on top of the fact that he's freaking Patrick Mahomes. And it's a huge reason why there's a huge question mark.
Hey, to me, I don't think no quarterback should be paid higher than Patrick Mahomes. You know, no quarterback has done anything, at least in this league so far, has done anything equivalent to Patrick Mahomes. Just saying.
In regards to what you're supposed to do when you have a quarterback that is eligible for a brand new contract. Now, at the same time, this summer was very significant for quarterbacks because this is the very first time that we've seen quarterbacks that are eligible for contract extensions that aren't necessarily considered to be the best QB in the NFL, but they are good enough to potentially get your team to a Super Bowl. One of them being Jared Goff, and the other being Tua Tagovailoa. In the case of Jared Goff, you have a much larger sample.
Back in 2022, I lost 2 very important people in my life. Big figures. It really wasn't until February
Size, and you've seen consistent improvement in his game ever since he went to the Detroit Lions. I mean, the man threw for over 4,400 yards in 2022 with 29 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and this past year he threw for over 4,500 passing yards, completed 67% of them, 30 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. He was able to get the Detroit Lions into the NFC Championship and came very, very close to taking them to the Super Bowl. Whenever a quarterback does that on a contract year, it's a no-brainer he deserves to be paid, but it's obvious that Jared Goff doesn't really deserve to get paid more than Joe Burrow does. So Jared Goff thought,
hey, that is true. You know, Jared Goff has not done near as amount as Joe Burrow. Yes, he's been to the playoffs more than Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow has done more, I would say, with less than Jared Goff. You guys can argue with me with that, saying that Joe Burrow has better wide receivers, and a little bit of a better defense, but I would argue that the Lions are better defense, and the Lions are the best O-line in the NFL, in my opinion. Take it how you want to get.
$53 million a year annually, which put him right above Justin Herbert, but below Joe Burrow. Next contract extension that we got was actually
yeah, I never understood his contract either. I don't understand why they paid him as much as Joe Burrow, when this thing has not done it nearly as, didn't do as much as Joe Burrow's. I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Hey, maybe this is, he's paying him on what his potential can be. But not only do you need the assets to get to his potential, but you also need to assume that his hype and all it's worth it. Otherwise, that money just got down the drain.
Very significant. Trevor Lawrence's contract
And that could be a terrible take from me, but I'm just saying my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
extension was not expected for another year, maybe even 2 years. If he really wanted to gamble on himself, could have just waited as long as possible, the same way Lamar Jackson did. But he decided to sign this contract.
Yeah, like, you are sort of gambling on Trevor Lawrence and just assuming that he'll become this big star when he's shown little bits of talent and shown little bits of what he can become. He just never got to that level. He didn't even take you guys to the playoffs like he was supposed to take this year. Not saying it was totally his fault, but you know.
Contract extension in a year that was make or break for him. There's a huge question mark in regards to Trevor Lawrence's ability right now. And although I'm a huge believer in him and I think he could get the job done, and he was dealing with injuries last year, it's very interesting that he opted to sign a contract that ties him with Joe Burrow when he's on his rookie scale contract for another 2 years. Regardless, whenever you can get these contracts done sooner rather than later, it ends up paying off in a very big way. Because currently the Dallas Cowboys are still trying to negotiate with Dak Prescott, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets paid $60 million a year annually. But in the case,
that would be so devastating if this nigga got paid $60 million. We have to pay him. He did not deserve to get paid $50 million. I mean, not the $50 million. Sorry, $55 million per year. Not even above that. He should not even deserve to get paid more than Patrick Mahomes. Okay, he's on $160 million. We owe him $40 million more dollars. Okay? We got to pay him less than Joe Burrow. I'd say somewhere around the same deal as Tagovailoa. Maybe a little bit more, around maybe $5 million more, $10 million more. Somewhere around there. Some might argue less. I argue give him like $230. Not $60 million a year. Fuck that shit.
case of Tua,
Still gotta pay CD and Micah. And Trevon Diggs, I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure DeRon Bland. Oh my god, we gotta pay so much niggas.
you have a very unique situation because on one hand, Tua struggled during the Brian Flores era, but in comes Mike McDaniel and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and next thing you know, he's averaging 273 passing yards per game. And 1 year later, he's throwing for over 4,600 passing yards off of a 69% completion percentage, 29 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, making it to his first Pro Bowl and finishing top 5 in comeback player of the year. But at the same time, you're having people ask Mike McDaniel this question.
There are some folks who believe that many quarterbacks in this scheme, with you as the coach, with Tyreek and Jalen, maybe even many quarterbacks would excel, would flourish, would be near the top of the passer radar, leading MVP candidate. What, if any, pushback is there relative to? Wait, no, hold on. Tua is a little different.
Let's push this podium over. My answer to that would be who the F cares, because it is a team. We're working together, and I know one thing. I've coached stuff a long time. I haven't seen people do what our guys do.
Which is a very excellent question. Could another quarterback just take over for Tua for half the price and possibly deliver the same results?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Okay, there's a lot of people like Tua, like Dak Prescott. You can argue. I don't think people are gonna give me flack for this. I'm gonna say Brock Purdy too. But not for the same price, not for the same time. I think Tua is perfect for Miami Dolphins. You just overpriced him. You just overpaid him a little bit. And some people had the audacity to say he should be paid more than Joe Burrow. Okay, these people that say that shit are non-existent to me.
So you can invest that capital elsewhere. Well, it doesn't seem like Mike McDaniel really cares that much, because after a holdout with the Miami Dolphins, Tua and the Miami Dolphins officially agreed to a contract extension. So according to Ian Rappaport, the Dolphins and Tua have a deal, agreeing to a 4-year, $212.4 million contract extension to lock him in long term. At long last, Miami's franchise QB is paid like it. I mean, first things first, man. Anytime a quarterback gets paid, anytime anyone gets the bag, I'm happy for them. So we're just going to take that aside and discuss whether or not this is actually a good deal. Like I said before, Tua's sample size is very, very small. You pretty much only have 2 years with Tua in the Mike McDaniel era that you could really count. And in those 2 years, he's been injury prone and hasn't had any success in the playoffs. He has not been able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, which you could tell based upon Tyreek Hill's interviews how badly Tyreek Hill wants to beat the Chiefs.
Chiefs Kingdom, when the Miami Dolphins come to Arrowhead Stadium this year, guess what we gonna do? Guess what we gonna do? I hate to say it, man. I hate to throw the peace sign against y'all. I hate to do it. But guess what? I'm gonna be y'all worst enemy that day. I'm gonna be y'all worst enemy that day.
And at the same time, he has this all-world supporting cast around him. I mean, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, we saw that one. You guys kind of frauds too.
Tyreek Hill.
Hey, let's see how you guys do. Okay, his contract only reflects on what he's done. Cheers, Michael Daniel, prone injury motherfucker. And he's also made the playoffs. Lost bad to the Chiefs. Okay, played, you can't, played in record low freezing ass weather, okay? You fucking freeze his ass off. People went to hospital frostbite, okay? I get that. But at the same time, make it to the playoffs more and win the playoffs, at least make it to the divisional round. And I can justify that. Till then, that contract's not really justifiable to me.
On Achane and Raheem Mostert in Mike McDaniel's rushing attack. And despite all this so far, the narrative surrounding Tua is he's dominant.
I'm surprised that nigga didn't even beat the Chiefs. I'm surprised he didn't go to the AFC Championship. He is the best wide receiver. I think he has the best wide receiver core in the NFL right now. He has Tyreek Hill, second best wide receiver in the league. You have Jalen Waddle, one of the best in the NFL. And now you have Odell Beckham Jr. You should have no excuse for not making it to at least the divisional round.
In the regular season, but can he do that in the postseason? And the reason why this is concerning is I always say whenever a quarterback is on a rookie scale contract and they're having trouble succeeding under the rookie scale contract, it's kind of bizarre to expect them to start to perform in the postseason at all once they get their big payday. And the reason for this is simple. Once the quarterback gets a huge payday, the pieces around him are going to get considerably weaker. And you already saw the Miami Dolphins make some cuts this past offseason. I mean, Xavier Howard left, Jordan Poyer is in. They couldn't keep Christian Wilkins. They brought in Shaq Barrett, but Shaq Barrett recently retired. But they also made some pretty nice
Hey, I didn't know they lost all these pieces. I know they lost a couple, but I didn't know they lost all of them. I didn't know the nigga fucking retired too. That's fucking crazy. That just changed my whole perspective of the AFC Championship. I mean, the division round shit, but no, never mind yet. No, I still stand by that. I still think they should make it with no excuses.
acquisitions as well. I mean, Jonnu Smith is amazing whenever he's fully healthy. Odell Beckham Jr. at the very minimum should be a nice locker room piece. They signed Calais Campbell, who just refuses to age for some reason. And apparently this defense, who was really good on paper, didn't really gel with Vic Fangio. So they're hoping that Anthony Weaver can be their difference maker this year. So whether or not this is truly Tua's fault is a different conversation for a different day. But at the same time, I could understand fans having some reservations over the fact that Tua just got...
Yo, this shit lagging like a motherfucker, man. I'm just gonna keep recording because I was about to stop this video because I noticed 3 times it lagged. I'm gonna keep recording.
This huge contract extension without really having any postseason success to show for it. At the end of the day, you're not going to see this contract really affect the Miami Dolphins until next offseason, and the cap hit doesn't typically become significant until 2 years from now, or maybe even 3 years from now. Unless if you're the Dallas Cowboys and you decide...
This shit lagging like a motherfucker. I'm not, you know... There's like a minute left of this shit. I'm just gonna continue it.
To backload the contract so it could fuck you over once it's the end of your quarterback's contract. But I don't think the Miami Dolphins are as dumb as the Cowboys.
If this shit lags again, I'm just gonna stop the video like right here.
So do I think this is a good contract? To be honest, for Tua, I think this is the perfect contract. He technically